The Glock 40 versus the Glock 41. Maybe I'm going to answer questions that nobody's asked, but I'm kind of curious about it. What's the difference between the two and how they work? What's the difference between the 10mm Glock 40 and the 11.5mm, also known as 45 ACP, Glock 41? Stay with me. Welcome to Riders Range, while we do some chronograph range testing with a whole bunch of different types of ammunition in the Glock 40 10mm and the Glock 41 11.5mm, 11.48mm, whatever it is, also known as 45 ACP. Very similar guns, but they're also a little bit different. The 10mm, of course, has a 6.02 inch barrel and weighs north of about 45 ounces when it's fully loaded with 15 rounds. The Glock 41 45 ACP with 13 rounds of ammunition in it comes in a little over 36 ounces and has about a 5.31 inch barrel. So there is a little difference between the two. I'm trying to keep this as similar as possible, so when I do the ammunition testing, I'm testing similar loads to similar loads as close as I can get for 10 versus 11.5mm. Both of these guns have the Swampfox Justice 3mm red dot optic on it, and it is aluminum frame, 7075 aluminum, I believe it is, and has the RMR footprint. And of course, right now in front of the camera, both of these guns are completely unloaded. They won't be in a minute, but once they're loaded, we're pointed down range. Got our chronograph set up at about 10 feet. I'm shooting at a steel plate that's about 25 yards down there. All right, enough talking about this. You've seen views of these guns elsewhere. I've got a view for, I'll post one of them up here. I'm not sure which one. I'll post the other one a little bit later, but I've done reviews on both the 40 and the 41, and I've also done reviews on the Swampfox Justice optic. Oh, the optic on the 40 is a red dot. The optic on the 41 is a green dot. So again, I'm looking for a contrast when I'm doing this between the two colors, just to see if that helps my astigmatism any. And also, once we get done the chronograph testing, I'm also going to shoot them, of course, at 50 yards, just to see how well they shoot. So enough talking. Let's get shooting. Starting with the 10mm, we're starting with the Federal American Eagle 180 grain, just plain full metal jacket, and let's see how that works, if I can still remember how to work the chronograph. It's a shooting chronny. It's been a little while since I've worked this one. See if I can remember how it goes. All right, first shot. Let's just see where this first shot ends up. And it says it's 1112 feet per second. 1104. 1113. And 1115. And 1111. So average is 1111. Stream spread is only 10.48. All right, so much for that one. Next, we're going to try some PPU. This is the it's their defense line, 180 grain. So we'll see how this works out. 5 shots of this at the PPU. All right, let's see how this one does. 1034. 1026. 1044. 1033. And finally 1063. Average of 1040. Extreme spread of 3761. All right, next up, Federal Personal Defense 180 grain, and these are also hollow points. These are basically the Hydra-Shock round. If you haven't seen Hydra-Shock, I don't know if the camera will pick it up there or not. It does have a little post in the middle of the hollow cavity. And let's see how these work. These are actually the old defensive round from law enforcement days. We were shooting the Hydra-Shock. 1030. 1032, 1029, 1041, and finally 1033 again. Average of 1033, and an extreme spread of 1203. Starting out with buffalo bore. This is 220 hard cast flat nose, and I'm going to put 5 rounds of the buffalo bore through it. This would be more of a game type or hunting type round for the 10 millimeter. All right, 5 rounds of buffalo bore. It's got a little bit of punch to it. 1121, 1136. Definitely feel this one just a little bit more than I did the others, but again, a heavier bullet. 1140. Definitely moves that plate down there. You can't see it on camera, but it's moving it. 1129. And 1129 again. Average of 1131. Extreme spread of 1913. This is 220 grain cast Underwood, and these are also polymer coated. Again, a good hunting round. Chronograph's on. Got some punch. 1180, 1193, 1151. You're not getting a lot of consistency on this. And that's an error. And 1160 for the last one. Average 1171. Extreme spread of 4145. And last up is RIP. Now, it does not stand for what you might think. This says radically invasive projectile. It doesn't give a bullet weight on these. It does say they're 10 millimeter. There's 20 rounds in a box, and not cheap. This is a couple of bucks every time you pull the trigger. And if you haven't seen the RIP rounds, that's what they look like. I don't know if you see better on that camera or on this one. Again, I have no idea what the bullet weight is on this. They are listed as a solid copper projectile created with the latest design and manufacturing technology. Change the ballistic industry. The last round you'll ever need. Well, let's find out. Chronograph's on. Very little recoil. Actually, did not quite chamber that round. There we go. Came out at 1258. Based on the recoil, I'm going to say that the light projectile is certainly a good reason for that. And it's pretty much spitting the brass right out of my feet here, which is good. 1250. Very manageable recoil. 1260. 1258 again. And 1241, but did not stay back on the last round. Didn't have enough recoil management to do that. Average of 1253. Extreme spread of 1901. All right, that's it for 10 millimeter. Well, now let's go over to the 45. All right, we're back with the Glock 41. And again, a 5.3 inch barrel, 5.31 Swampfox Justice green dot on it. First up for ammo is Federal American Eagle, plain old 230 grain full metal jacket. Let's see how 5 rounds of this works out over the shooting chrony beta. That was one. 788.5. 787.3. 788.2. 793.4. And 770.6, 785.6 for an average extreme spread of 22.78. Next up, Speer Gold Dot, and this is 200 grain gold dot hollow point. This is plus P ammunition, and it is a hollow point. It's law enforcement law enforcement ammunition is what it's saying. So let's see how the Speer Gold Dot works. A little hotter, 1044, 1073, 1066, 1053, and finally 1044. The average of 1056. Extreme spread of 28.98. Next up, Federal HST. Again, this is a plus P round, 230 grains, and it's like the Hydroshock, only without the post in the middle. It's a good defensive ammunition again. .926.5, 916.6, 949.9, 930.2, and 944.3, 933.5 for an average, 33.31 for an extreme spread. We're still with the Glock 41. This is a Gen 4 model, of course. First up is Buffalo Bore Outdoorsman, and this is 255 grain hard cast flat nose. Says it should be moving at 925 feet per second. We're going to find out. And again, just plain old hard cast lead. See where the Buffalo Bore goes. Got a lot of oomph to it because it's heavier. 961.0, 959.2, 963.4. Again, it should be moving at a 925. I don't know what barrel they measured that out of. .960.9. And finally 957.8. Low of 957.8, high of 963.4. That's nice and consistent. 960.5 for an average. Extreme spread of 5.64. I like it. Next up, we're moving to Underwood, 255 grain polymer coated. Says again 925 feet per second. Again, it's rated at plus P, and again polymer coated, plain old flat point bullet. 908.3, 925.4, 913.7, 912.6, and finally 924.6. Average 916.9. Extreme spread of 1715. And finally, the RIP, and again that means radically invasive projectile. It says the last round you'll ever need. Again, there's no weight given on this, but it does say 45, and again you can see it's got the RIP solid copper profile. So let's see. Let's first of all see if this is going to have any ejection problems like the first shot did out of the 10 millimeter. Okay, it did eject okay, 950.1. Again, much milder recoil, just like the 10. 959.4. 956.7. 936.9. And 964.5. Average of 953.5. An extreme spread of 27.55. All right, number 7 out of the 45 is going to be double tap ammunition, and that is 45 ACP plus P, 165 grain, excuse me, 160 grain Barnes bullet. It's got a heck of a cavity in there, significant hollow point. This says it's going out of a 5-inch barrel at 1,200 feet per second, and this is a 5.31-inch barrel. Let's see how close they get to that. 1162. Didn't quite make their 1,200. 1159. 1157. 1163 and 1150, average of 1158. Extreme spread of 12.61. All right, last one up for the 45 is Cor Bon. This is actually Sturgis, South Dakota. And it says it is 45 auto plus P, 230 grain, 950 foot per second velocity, and again a fairly significant, it's a wide but not quite as deep a hollow cavity as the double tap. Alright, let's see if we can get anywhere near the 950 foot per second with this. I guess 950 feet per second would be correct. $954.7, okay. 957.3. 962 even. Don't blow my grid away here. Wind started to pick up. That breeze feels nice. It's a hot day. 954.2. 967.0, 959.0, and 1273 extreme spread. All right, between the Glock 40, Glock 41, both certainly good defensive rounds. Definitely a heavier pistol, longer barrel on this. Make a good hunting gun. Would this also make a good hunting gun? With some of that ammunition, I'm thinking that there's a good possibility. I may have to sit down and calculate the actual muzzle energy from both these. Actually, it wouldn't be muzzle, it'd be 10 feet away. That's where the chronograph is set. See what kind of energy we're getting out of these. Energy is a factor of mass times velocity, of course. So we'll see how that works out. So if I were to go out in the woods right now, I'd be taking this. I couldn't tell you exactly what ammo I'd take until I went back and looked at the stats, but I think they would all be pretty good, except maybe the initial Federal, but that's just more of a practice round. Would I be comfortable with the 45 out on a woods walk where there's larger animals, mountain lion, bear, and so forth? I don't see why not. And the Swampfox optics, red and green, are working just fine. The green does seem to work just a little better with my astigmatism. Shows up fine even against the green center of the plate when I took aim at the 50-yard plate. And so they do work velocity-wise, accuracy-wise, relatively close up. But can they reach out to 50 yards to get the job done? Well, let's find out with the 10mm first. This is just using Blazer 180 grain ammo. And let's start with the silver gong on the left. Of course, how about the white 16-inch with a green center, high right? How about the 12-inch below it, white with a red center? 10-inch in the middle there with a white with a black center. Oh, come on. There we go. 8-inch below it, white with a red center. Come on. Oh, come on. Settle into the trigger. Not blaming the gun or the ammo. Blaming the Indian, not the arrow here. Ah, come on. The 8 ought to be easy to hit. There we go. Finally. So we only got 3 rounds left. Can I get the 6-inch at 50 yards with 3 rounds. Okay, got out of the first. 2 rounds left. Let's do the maroon, kind of rust colored silhouette with a white center. And let's go back to the gong one more time. Alright, I can make the 10mm work at 50 yards. Let's try the 45. Alright, so let's see how the 45 with a green dot here in the Swampfox Justice works at 40 or at 50 yards. Silver gong on the left, shouldn't be a big deal. White 16, high right, green center. 12 below it. Definitely a delay between the report of the gun and the sound of the gong. Less so on the 10, more on the 45. Black center, white plate, 10-inch high center. 8-inch below it. 6-inch to the left of that. Oh, come on. Well, not boding well for that 6. Got it with a 10mm. Come on, got to get it with a 45. One shot left. Finally, is that the last shot? It is. Didn't stay open because I'm a 1911 guy. I'm riding the slide stop lever. All right, 50 yards. So which one would I take with me on a woods walk where there's big game? Well, I think to me it's hands down the 10mm. It doesn't have significantly more recoil really than the 45. It's a heavier gun, shooting generally lighter bullets with a couple of exceptions in here. Actually, no, they are all lighter. I did a quick calculation on energies, and out of the Underwood 220 grain hardball, it had the best energy of 670 foot-pounds based on the average of 1,171 feet per second, average of those 4 rounds. One of them was an error. However, it had the worst extreme spread. Extreme spread on that was 41.45. Don't like that. Next up, at just 625 foot-pounds or pounds-feet, whatever you want to look at it, and just barely squeaked down to number 4. It was almost tied for number 3 in the extreme spread of 19.13 extreme spread. So number 2 would be the Buffalo Bore 220 grain hardcast. I like it. I wouldn't have any hesitation. The 45, on the other hand, there's no doubt at all, 522 foot-pounds, an extreme spread of 5.64 feet per second. Yeah, I definitely like that one. Number 1 is the 255 grain Buffalo Bore. I wouldn't hesitate to take either of them out there now. 522 foot-pounds versus 625. Actually, that 100 can certainly make a difference, particularly on something large like a bear. I'd be more comfortable out in big game country with a 10 than I would a 45, but I wouldn't be uncomfortable with the 45. So there it is. Again, it's the answer to a question that I haven't heard anybody ask, but I had to ask it because I've got both guns. They're both very similar. They both have the same optic. I had a lot of similar ammunition for the 2 of them, and I had to see which one is really going to make any difference. I want to analyze the footage and see what the recoil is on them. Haven't done that yet. You'll see it as I see it. I'm going to edit that in, and we'll see where it goes. So thanks so much for stopping by. It's got a little bit of punch to it.